Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for coming. I'm Linda Core. I'm the program coordinator for Joseph City Youth Faith and Family. This event is sponsored by that organization with support from the Joseph City School District and the Joseph City Foundation. We have three speakers this evening. We have Deputy Danny Dietz with the Navajo County Sheriff's Office. We have Vicki Solomon with the Nexus Coalition and Deshaun Mason with Recovery Works. And they're going to each talk a little bit about their experiences in their field and some of the things that they see and deal with, because this is very important for our community, any community. But in Joseph City, we have such a wonderful town that we live in. We have so many amazing people, and we don't want to lose a single one to drug addiction. And the way we combat that is through education, through community, through participation. So I'm not going to take up too much more time. We're going to start with Deputy Dietz, then we're going to have Vicki speak, and then we'll have Deshaun speak after that. If you have any questions you want to ask, just let us know. We'll bring you a microphone, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Linda. Hello, everybody. My name is Danny Dietz. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for about 14 and a half years. I started my career in patrol and learned early on that a lot of the crimes that I was investigating or that we were having investigated throughout the county were drug-related. What I have seen in my career is that somebody who is looking for their fix, or they're looking to score their next, what's the word I'm looking for? Obtaining their drugs again, will do multiple different types of crimes in order to make that happen. So I saw one of our canine handlers out here on the interstate who was regularly picking off loads of drugs going from one end of the country to the other, and I became hooked. So I started looking into getting into drug enforcement, and spent 3 years in our narcotics task force doing undercover crimes, working undercover narcotics cases. I saw all kinds of different things within that, things that broke my heart. I remember one case that we did where it was a high risk event, so we brought out the SWAT team, and in doing that, when they cleared it, they said that the odor of marijuana was very, very heavy within that room. They were actively smoking, and a 2-week-old baby came out of that house and was just as high as a kite. I've never seen anything like it. We had all these cops, all this big scary event that should be scary to a small child, and that child was just calm as could be, and it really broke my heart. I was a young dad at the time, and I remember calling my wife and saying, "Thank you for being who you are," because I knew that my kids were safe with her. So I've seen all kinds of different things in the world of drug enforcement. Currently, I'm a canine handler, and I work the interstate, so I don't do as much local stuff, but I'm primarily stationed on the interstate looking for people that are transporting large amounts of drugs from one end of the country to the other. And I've seen all kinds of different things with that. Excuse me. With that, for me, I get a sense of satisfaction or feel like I'm making a difference somewhere in the country, whether that's here in town, whether that's here in the county, or whether that's in Texas or Florida or Georgia. If I'm stopping that from getting to that community and making it that much harder, then I feel like I won. I know I can't stop it completely. I'm one guy, and this is a huge country, and for every one that I'm getting, there's probably 10 going by that I'm missing. But somewhere, I've stopped an overdose. Somewhere. I don't know who that person is, but I know I stopped it. Recently, we've seen an increase and an uptick in counterfeit Oxycontin pills. The cartels have now started making pills out of fentanyl. And these guys will talk about fentanyl a little bit later, a little bit more, but fentanyl is very highly addictive, and it's highly dangerous. The wrong dose can kill you. And we're starting to see an uptick in that. Large amounts of pills. I think the most recent one that I was a part of, we seized 50,000. That's a lot. That's enough to kill a small facility. But somewhere, wherever that was going, somebody didn't overdose that night, because I was able to seize that. Now, in the local communities, we're starting to see an uptick in that as well. We're starting to see a lot of overdose deaths. I just got informed this year, and I don't want to step on your toes, but 0 overdose deaths is related to fentanyl. Is that right? That's amazing. That's because of the work that these guys are doing. That's because of the work that we're doing at the law enforcement end, where we're getting life-saving tools in the hands of those that might be hooked on it, and our law enforcement officers, keeping that out of the communities, keeping that person from dying. Are you going to talk about Narcan more? Okay. So I don't know if you guys are aware of Narcan. Narcan is an opiate blocker. It looks like this. There is also some that you can inject. This one you can spray in the nose. What this does is, if somebody's having an overdose and you get this to them in time, it will take the opioid receptors in the brain. It'll get in between that and the opioid itself. That brings somebody out of an overdose, gives us enough time to hopefully get them to a hospital and get them life-saving treatment. This stuff has saved a lot of lives. I know of one deputy alone who's probably had about 3 Narcan deployments, and he's only been a cop for about 4 or 5 years. This stuff is saving lives. I keep this on hand, one for if I come in contact with somebody who has overdosed, and one for myself. I keep it on hand with me. I can also use this for my dog. So if he somehow ingests fentanyl and I start to notice overdose symptoms in him, I can give this to him and then get him to emergency care. This stuff has saved a lot of lives. But for me, personally, that's why I got into drug enforcement, is because, one, that was the common denominator that I saw in Navajo County, was that somehow, some way, whether it was a homicide, whether it was an aggravated assault, whether it was a burglary, somehow, some way, it could be tied to a drug nexus the majority of the time. So I thought to myself, if I can attack that end of it, even though I'm just one guy, if I can be a part of that part of the team, then maybe I can save a life somewhere. Maybe I can prevent a burglary. Maybe I can be a conduit, that person that helps somebody realize they need help. 2, I wanted to prevent those types of things from happening in my community and to my own kids. My kids probably are sick of hearing from me because I'm constantly harping on them. You guys don't even start once. Don't even start once. Because if I can stop them, then hopefully they can teach their kids the same thing. And if I can teach someone else, if I just reach one person, that's all I need. I feel like I have been a success. So I got involved in that side of it because that's what I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop those things from happening. I've seen all kinds of things with it from a law enforcement perspective. These guys will talk about other perspectives, but I know that by hopefully keeping this from getting to somebody else's community, that I hopefully have saved a life somewhere. So if you guys have any questions, I'll take them. If not, I'll move on to the next one. Do you want me to run this to you?
Thank you. My question is, last year I remember you talking about some of the fentanyl problems that in Winslow, and I guess there were some deaths there in the high school. Are things getting better in this area?
I don't know of any deaths in the high school, but I know last year they had,
Yeah.
I think, 1 or 2 fentanyl overdose deaths.
Overdoses. Okay.
14 total in the county. Okay, just overdoses or overdose on fentanyl? Okay. I know that we, with our local task force, spent a lot of time in Winslow over the last month or so, just trying to hit it as hard as we can. From what I can see, that made a difference. We made a lot of arrests. It was a very successful operation.
So you feel like the numbers are going in the right direction?
For now,
Okay.
I hope they continue to go that way.
Okay.
One thing I've learned about drug enforcement is you cut the head off of one snake over here, and 3 more pop up over here.
Yep.
So we try to do as best we can.
Thank you.
I'll touch on one other thing. One of the things that we've seen, like I said, was with prescription drugs. For you kids, when you're taking a prescription from your doctor, that doctor knows exactly how much of that particular drug that your body can handle. He's gone to school for years and years, he or she, and they know exactly what is safe for you. So that's why it's important. That's why it's always stressed by the medical community not to take anybody else's prescription, because you may get the wrong dose, especially if it's a narcotic. If you get the wrong dose, that can create an overdose situation. Your brain can go without oxygen for 4 minutes. Your average response time for EMS to Joseph City is probably 15 to 20 if they're not busy. If they're busy on another call or they're coming from another call, if they have to call an ambulance, that response time can go even higher. So we stress that a lot. Don't take prescriptions that aren't yours. Just because it's a prescription drug doesn't mean it's, 1, not addictive, and 2, can't harm you. Prescription doesn't equal safe if it's not specifically prescribed to you. So we see a lot of that. We see, again, with the fentanyl being counterfeited by the cartels. If you're taking it from somebody on the street, you don't know what you're getting. So you may get that hot pill that sends you into an overdose. So we constantly stressing, take the pills that your doctor gives you. And if you need help, if you're addicted to the narcotic pills, go get yourself some help. And there's resources out there, and you guys will talk more about that. I'm not going to take their thunder.
So in our previous community, they had, at the police station, you could turn in unused prescription drugs. Is that true here too? Or where would you dispose of unused prescription drugs?
Yes, you can actually do that in the main sheriff's office over in Holbrook. We do have a container over there. It's no questions asked. You just go in and put them in that container. It's a locked container, so people can't get those out, and then our evidence technician will dispose of them for you. Anything else? Do we have any online questions? All right, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Excellent. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Vicki Solomon. I'm the Executive Director of Nexus Coalition for Drug Prevention. I was born and raised out at Heber, Overgard, raised in a small town, and I love small towns. I moved all the way over to Taylor, 35 miles, and I've been there for about 33 years. So I love our communities, and I was very blessed to be able to work for Navajo County Public Health for 6 years, and then I've been executive director with Nexus for the last 5. With Nexus Coalition, we like to build partnerships, and law enforcement is one of our favorites, and then also recovery is one of our favorites, and our schools are also one of our favorites. Our goal is to educate youth about drugs and then educate parents about current drug trends. And so I'm going to give you a few little facts, and then I also want to share what we actually do in the communities for you guys. So let's see, from year to date, since May, we have been able to educate 1,732 youth, 1,085 adults. We have distributed 515 Narcan, 206 Deterra pouches. And if you don't know what those are, the pouches are, you just put your medicine inside the pouches and then you dispose of them. You put water in it and you put it in the trash. So we like to get those into our elderly homes who can't get to our drug drop spots. Every police station in Navajo County has the drug drop boxes. And then we also have two at Summit, and then CVS Pharmacy has the drug drop boxes. So the pouches are for the elderly. We try to get out to get rid of the unused medicine. And then we have distributed about 5,400 flyers. We've done 177 sessions with youth, and then a ton of media. Now that's what we do, but what I want to share with you is why we do what we do. And I'm going to give you the Navajo County death stats for last year. Last year we had 148 deaths that goes to our medical investigator. 57 were natural. Now, we can't really do a whole lot about natural deaths, but I want you to listen to the rest of these, because the rest of these are preventable. 23 suicides, 23 overdoses, and with those 23 overdose deaths last year, 14 were fentanyl, 4 were opioid, 2 were meth, and 3 was just a variety of RX medicine. We had 17 motor vehicle deaths, 9 homicides, 9 alcohol, and then 10 accidentals. So when we hear those numbers for Navajo County, that's really high for stuff that we can prevent. And current, since June 2021, from January, we've had 13 overdose deaths, but we haven't had one fentanyl yet, which that is amazing to me. We know that our law enforcement are out there getting that fentanyl off the streets. We've had 3 meth, 7 mixed, 1 naproxen, which that one I'm still going to ask about because I use naproxen for a headache, so that one's curious to me. And then there was 2 unconfirmed. So we still have high rate of overdose deaths, but it is coming down, so we're thankful for that. So I just want to talk to the kids real quick. He talked about taking medicine, and we know that we don't take medicine unless you have your name on it, but I also want to emphasize, if anybody, a stranger, is trying to get you to take medicine, please do not do it. They are coming up with some crazy things to try to trick kiddos into taking pills, gummy, different things that have marijuana in it, brownies, different foods. So don't take stuff from somebody you don't know that your parents aren't aware of, okay? I've raised my 4 kiddos, and now I'm starting on my grandkids, and it's good to start early on that education. The other thing I want to touch base on is the Narcan. If you'll notice over my table, there's some boxes of the Narcan, and there's 2 doses in 1 box. And I want you guys to feel free to take one and put that in your emergency kit. Ronnie and I both had knee surgery, and we had pain pills in our home. Now, what if my 6-year-old grandson went in, found them, overdosed on them? I've got 30 minutes before I can get to the hospital. If our brain shuts down after 4 minutes, then I've lost my grandson. Now, if I have Narcan, I can shoot him with the Narcan. It will reverse that opioid, and then I have time to get him to the hospital to take care of him. So there's been a big myth with Narcan the last 5 years is people have been tabooed, we don't want that in our home. Yes, you do. You want to carry it with you. You want to have it in your home. There's lots of different reasons that you might be able to use that. And why not have it? We get to hand this out free, and I'm going to continue doing it until I stop getting the grants that pay for that. If you go to the pharmacist, Doug Ducey, our governor, was able to write up that you can go to the pharmacy and get Narcan whenever you want. But if you've tried it, it's over $100. So who has that money to pay for that, right? So you can get it free from us. Just let us know and we'll arrange to make sure that you get that. I'm very thankful for law enforcement for carrying that and having it on hand. There is lots of information, but I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let Deshaun talk to you about some different things. He's got some great stories. So if you guys have any questions about drugs or alcohol, we provide services inside schools, and we have lots of resources for parents. Just contact Nexus Coalition, and the website is ncdp.rocks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. My cool guys up here, can I have you guys come a little forward? The group of guys right here. That's perfect. That's perfect. So check it out. We're going to play a little game really quick. When I say drugs, you guys repeat after me. Drugs. And then you all over here, when I say sucks, you guys say suck. Drugs. Sucks. Drugs. Sucks. Drugs. Sucks. Thank you so much. You guys can have a seat, man. Thank you guys for participating. My name is Deshaun Mason. I am a grateful recovering addict. I'm now a program director at Recovery Works Drug and Rehabilitation Center. I suffered from an pill addiction for over 15 years. So I have a couple stories. I have a little bit to tell you guys to give you guys an idea of what active addiction looks like. But first off, I want to break down the actual title of this shindig that we have here. Drug awareness and impact, community impact. Drugs, as we all know, Vicky and the deputy here have obviously made it clear what drugs are. But awareness is obviously the perception or knowledge of a situation or fact. A community is you all, including me as a whole, right? And impact is to have a strong effect on something or somebody. What if I were to tell you that one of those words, one of those things would destroy your awareness, your community, and the impact? Just that one thing. So what I'm saying to you, obviously what occurred to me, this one drug destroyed multiple things in my life. Well, awareness obviously is important. So we naturally need to be aware of imminent danger if it's coming about. Well, if you're on drugs, you won't be aware of that because you won't have that awareness. Drugs also bring a negative impact, in which the negative impact trickles on down to your community, and it destroys an entire community. In which the place that I've come from, South Phoenix, which is one of the worst areas in the state of Arizona, my community has been just about destroyed of drugs. Now, when I was 8 years old, I woke up about 2, 3 in the morning, and I woke up to laughter. That it was an enormous laughter that flew out through the house. And so I ran into the kitchen, and it was my father and a couple of his friends. They were cooking dope. And so the first thing he told me was, "Go back to bed, son." So I turned and I ran to my mother's room. And when I ran in there, she's snorting dope. And so I ran back to my room and I went to sleep confused and hurt. And as I fell into a deep sleep, that was when a dream that turned into a nightmare began. So in my neighborhood where I come from, my role models, the people that I looked to, they were hustlers, they were dope dealers, people that had fast cars, that had jewelry, that had money, that had every material thing that you can ask for. But at the same time, some of the kids, they were playing sports. This very sport right here, football. And so there was a couple things that I found appealing. Music, selling drugs, sports. And two of them I wanted to specialize in. So as a youth, I played football and I loved it. I enjoyed it because I had no one to talk to and tell about my frustration of my parents. Again, I had the best of both worlds. Someone selling drugs and someone addicted to drugs. So as I started playing sports through youth, I had an attraction to sports and I had an attraction to selling drugs. Moving on to high school, I was one of the high school stars of playing football of my high school. I was so good that I earned a scholarship to move on to college. And so I got to college out of state, got away from all the madness and the drama, but I took what I learned and everything that I seen in my own community to the college that I went to. Now, played football and played it very well. But at the same time, my subconscious was, I need to get out there and make some money. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to sell marijuana. So I got 1 foot in sports and 1 foot in selling drugs. So all 4 years, I sold drugs to my teammates. I sold drugs to friends. I sold drugs to my coaches. So that would keep them from drug testing me. Okay? So I got to my senior year. Now, mind you, selling all this marijuana, it went undetected. I get to my senior year and I got a chance to go to the NFL. Well, that fell through. So when I got back home, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to get money? I didn't get my bachelor's. I didn't get my AA. Because again, while I was at school, if I wasn't at practice, I was selling marijuana. So again, when I got back to my community, my full-time job was selling marijuana. All the while I'm smoking it too, but I wasn't addicted to it, right? So I'm selling it. Years go by. I'm making money, taking care of my family, taking care of my friends, living the life. Everything that I seen that my father was doing and that he was having, I obtained those things, right? But at the same time, one thing with marijuana, it's bulky and it's really easy to get caught up with. So over the years, I said, I got to do something different. I got to find a different drug that's a little bit more quiet, that I can be a little bit more discreet with. Well, I heard about prescription pills. And so in high school, I had an injury with my knee. And the rumor was get into a doctor or get into pain management. Tell them about your energy and they'll give you pain prescription pills. And so that's what I did. And so I would get 60 to 120 pain prescription pills. So when I would get them, obviously I was faking my energy. It was old. It was no longer. I started selling these pills, right? And so I'm selling them, and now I'm making even more money that I was making, not taking as many risks selling these pills. So about 5 years go by, and I get to a point to where I started feeling hubristic, right? And so I got a little cocky, I got a little arrogant, and I noticed that not only were people bringing me money, but they were bringing me things of value. They were bringing me jewelry. They were bringing me watches. They were bringing me shoes. They were bringing me entertainment systems. They were bringing their significant other's wedding ring. They would bring it to me just for these pills. And so the curiosity started to settle in. I'm doing all this work selling these drugs. So I said, I wonder what does this crap feel like? Everybody's going so crazy over it, and they're coming in and out of my house throughout the day, throughout the night. I mean, this was 24/7, right? So that curiosity started to settle in, and I took one pill, just one. That one turned into 5. That 5 turned into 10. 10 turned into 15. 15 turned into 20. So my profit is up here. My intake is down here. That's how it started. But the more my tolerance increased, it began to balance out. And so now, slowly but surely, people are starting to recognize and see that you have an addiction problem. There's an issue. What's going on? You don't look the same. You don't sound the same. You don't talk the same. And me being an addict and just being in the clouds all day, every day, it was hard for me to step back and recognize that. Okay? So I began to take more and more and more pills. And so now my intake outweighed my profit. Okay? Now at this point, my wife, she's looking at me like, what's going on here? The whole time she's working, I was able to support her and my family and my kids through selling drugs. But now everything that I was making, it was going up my nose, because that's how I did these prescription pills, was snorting them. Okay. So at this point, she's talking, maybe we shouldn't be together. Maybe this is not going to work out. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get some help. And so finally I kind of slowed down on doing these prescription pills. Okay. But then I started doing them again because I was able to be more discreet with my drug intake. But then it got to a point to where I have 4 kids. Okay. All of them play sports. And obviously that consists of taking them back and forth to practice, taking them to school, cooking for them, bathing them, dressing them, and all that good stuff. And slowly but surely, those things begin to stop, because it got to a point to where the only way that I can take care of my children or help my children or be a part of their lives is I had to have a pill in my system. It got so bad to where when I first woke up, before I could get downstairs and make them breakfast, I had to have a pill up my nose. In order for me to brush my teeth, I had to have a pill up my nose. In order for me to make my kids breakfast, I had to have a pill up my nose. In order to do anything, I couldn't even conversate with them unless I had these drugs. Half the time that we would sit at the kitchen table or when they would come to me with their struggles, I couldn't meet them emotionally because I was numb. I was always numb to the fact that they needed their father to hear them out. I stayed in the clouds 24/7. Practices, games, I would miss them because I was out trying to find these drugs, right? So then my money's getting low. And so I started stealing. I started robbing people. I started robbing the people that I was selling my pills to. I started robbing my family members. I started robbing strangers, people that I never came in contact with, just to get my hands on these pills, putting myself in desperate situations, going in houses with no weapon, not knowing who's behind the door, just for these pills. Then it got to a point where my daughter, my baby girl, 5 years old. Now, as a child, you look to your father as a superhero, your father as a comforter, a consoler, someone to be there for you. And I stole from that little girl. I stole from my own daughter, a young lady that I love so very much, a young lady that I bathed and changed her first diaper, a baby that held on to me tight when she was struggling. In a time of need, I was there for her. The one that I started her piggy bank. She was saving to get a tablet. And I stole every single dime out of her piggy bank. And so there was one day, she pulled me to the side and she said, "Daddy, who are you?" And I couldn't answer the question because I didn't know who I was. So I left this young lady lost and confused, like, who is this man in front of me? What happened was the drugs, the pills had kidnapped and misplaced me and brought someone else in their life. And so moving right along, I started stealing from my significant other, in which she was the one working at the time. I was just selling drugs and using. So the money that she was making to put food on the table and to pay the bills, I was going through the back door and I'm taking this money over and over and over and over and over again till it got to a point to where we're about to lose our place. Next was my car. I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost her. Now we're separated and I'm alone. The first place I went was my aunt's house. She let me sleep on a couch. I'm coming from a nice 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a nice vehicle and a good job. And now I'm on my auntie's couch. And within about 5 days, I'm stealing and I'm taking from her just so I can get drugs. And then I'm stealing and taking from her daughter just to get drugs. Within about 2 weeks, I get kicked out of there. Then I went to another relative's house. Same routine, stealing. But now that particular family member didn't have a lot of money, I started taking valuable items out of their home. Pay attention. These people that I had lived with, they loved me so very much. And they cared for me and they had my back. They were able to have my back when I was at my worst, and I stole from them. I get put out of that house. I move into a friend's house, and I started getting a young man that never had an addiction, never did drugs in his life. It's him and his girlfriend. I start getting both of them high. They start having contention between them two. They get in an argument. They decided to put me out, and then they ended up separating. The last person left was my grandmother. Moved into her house, and her husband, which was my step-grandfather, he was getting prescription meds. Started stealing from him. This man was on his last days, getting ready to die. He needed these pain pills. So I'm stealing from him, taking them, selling them, and getting even more pills. So they finally find out that I'm taking these pills. I'm stealing them. So she says, it's time for you to go. You got to go. Now I'm left out on the streets with no home, no car, no job, no kids, no wife, all alone in 115, 120 degree weather. No bed, no bathroom to go to. The same underwear, same pants, same t-shirt, day in and day out. My everyday routine was go to the Circle K and panhandle. Panhandle, panhandle, panhandle. Find a way to get some money to get some more drugs. Now that's insanity. Doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting a different outcome, but getting the same thing. That's what the drugs did to me. Mind you, I was once a football player. I was once a star player. I was once getting my education. But this little blue pill, it robbed me of all those dreams and aspirations and of a beautiful family. So I'm homeless for about a year or so. You would think that a person from coming from such a place would have gotten tired of that way of living after about a week or so. No, I was comfortable in my addiction. I was so addicted to this euphoria, in which it only lasted 20 minutes, that I gave up everything else just for this one blue pill that's mindless, has no muscles, has no body parts, totally kicked my butt day in and day out. And that's all I was surrounded by was other addicts. And so that's the way I lived, was an addict life for a long time, until there was one day I got my hands on fentanyl. Fentanyl is basically a synthetic heroin, but it's 20, 30 times stronger than an official 30 or 20 milligram oxycodone. I started taking these pills, and I immediately found a liking to them because I got such more of a high than what I was getting before, and they were cheaper. And so I kept taking these fentanyl pills. La-di-da-li, I'm good, I'm high, I'm feeling good, and they're cheaper. I don't have to do so many desperate things to get my hands on these pills. Mind you guys, no friends, no family, nobody around me, nobody to help me. I'm all alone. There was one day that I took one of these pills and I overdosed. And when I overdosed that first time, my family came, they showed up, and I had to be Narcan 2 times, right? And I came back to. When I came back to, you guys, I just died. Just pretty much died. I get rushed to ER. I get to ER, and don't you know that after just dying, my first thought was, I have 2 more pills in my wallet. Social services is going to come in here, ask me questions, provide different resources that I can get to help me with my addiction. They're going to check my blood, and then they're going to discharge me. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to do these 2 pills again. Now, when I came to, my family was crying hysterically, going crazy. Like, my kids are like, my dad just died. They thought I was gone. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to get one more high in after just dying. So when I leave ER, I get back to where I was at, same thing. Within 10 minutes, boom, gone again, dead again. But this time, EMT had to Narcan me 7 times. Generally, they keep about 4 to 5 dosages of Narcan. But luckily, thank the Lord that they had more dosages of Narcan to bring me back to life. And once that occurred, that was a wake-up call for me. That was my rock bottom. I said, I'm tired. I'm done. I need to make a change. All these people kept giving me hints that it was time to make a change. I lived in darkness for so long. I was in discomfort for so long. Pain, confusion, lost, right? Sick 24/7. All kinds of things. Addiction really, truly sucks. It really does. You can never get comfortable. You never have happiness. You can't think straight. You can't process things. It destroys neural pathways. You isolate. You detach from your family. You detach from your friends. You detach from yourself. It's really, really horrible. And so that's why it's important, even though there's very few of you here, that we spread this word of what addiction looks like, what it can look like, how detrimental that it can be to your life. Remember that I said that it destroys the community. When in actuality, we need our community. We need people around us. In order for us to achieve goals and be successful, we need people. You need a team of people. But you can't have a legit team of people if you're constantly taking drugs. So today, I stand before you, being sober for 2 years and 6 months. I feel great. I feel victorious. I have happiness again. I have joy. I have clarity. I have my sanity. And I'm happy today that I'm able to stand in front of you to spread this good word, along with these two as well, because addiction is bad. I will leave you with this. Parents, please, please, I'm sure you already do it now, but be good listeners. That's all children want, teenagers want, is they want to be listened to, right? Listen to them, and you have to know them, because a teenager or child, they will tell you everything. They can be as discreet as they want to, but there's certain words, there's certain things that they do that'll tell you everything that they're doing. Be media savvy. They're always watching over your shoulder what you're doing on social media. When you're in your cell phone and you're texting or conversating or what have you, they're watching and they're emulating your every move. Be there for them emotionally. There's a lot of suicides that's been taking place. There's a lot of addiction that's been taking place. It comes from a lack of attention in the home. And that's where it comes from. That's where it starts, is that a lack of attention. So to please continue to be good listeners. Be attentive. Stay aware. And please spread the word, because these pills, heroin, meth, Marijuana, it's all extremely dangerous, and it will destroy you, destroy your friends, destroy your family, destroy your community. Thank you guys for coming and letting me speak.
Thank you, Deshaun and Vicki and Danny for coming and talking to us. Does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers that they would like to ask while we have that opportunity? We have, like Vicki said, there's a lot of things that she's brought that I'm going to have, that I will keep. And so if you have a need for the Narcan that you'd like to have and the doTERRA packets, if you want to contact the district, I'll be sure and get it to you. If you have any concerns or questions that you'd like more information on, you can reach out to me through the district, and I can get you those resources and that information. Deshaun, where is your
Sholo.
in Sholo? Okay, and so and that's Recovery Works.
Yes.
So you feel free to reach out to his organization if you have concerns about anything regarding recovery or a family or friend that maybe is struggling. And so with that, I think we'll wrap it up. But again, thank you so much. And thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a great evening.